This video is based around cooperative learning, how it incorporates social constructivist learning theory, and what we managed to achieve as a learning community of 6 individuals, all bringing what we could to a group of lessons. Cooperative learning is the idea of forming a community where each member can learn from one another. This is where social constructivism comes into play. Each group member was able to bring their own expertise to the learning community, offering their own knowledge and understanding in exchange for the expertise that the other members had. Through this, the group's content and level of potential learning was increased by 6 times. However, to learn through social constructivism, there are a few ingredients which the group must have present in the group's mix for the learning theory to be most successful. These ingredients form the group as an altruistic community where everyone in the group feels comfortable, valued and confident. Ingredients which make up such a group: opportunity to share your expertise, willingness to hear your group members and learn from them, trust that you're in a safe environment where your input is valued, and fairness in the way that everyone's voice and input is valued to the same extent. These 4 characteristics combined with a group of knowledgeable members, cooperative learning will basically take care of itself.
The expertise that I brought to our social constructivist group was balance. To begin, I ran through the basic safety aspects required and some basic warm-up activities such as tucks and 360-degree spins. After some basic warm-up activities, not requiring too much skill or balance, I moved on to demonstrate wall sits against a partner, linking arms, then without linked arms, requiring communication and body strength. Handstand hold with a partner supporting your legs. Counterbalancing with a partner using both arms to hold your partner, keeping your arms straight is the key, as well as trust. We then moved on to using our whole group, so emphasising social constructivism through a 4-angle pyramid and a handstand pyramid, all requiring lots of teamwork and trust.
The expertise which I brought to my group's learning community was around rock climbing. After talking to the group about basic climbing safety, taking them through some basic climbing hand stretches, and introduced them to some basic climbing equipment, we proceeded to the wall where I demonstrated correct handholds, which involve the tips of the fingers being less than 90 degrees from the base hand, correct limb hangs, which allow the body's natural anatomy to hold the body weight incredibly efficiently, and lastly, a common climbing move called flagging, where the climber adjusts their centre of gravity to maintain stability. After we played a game called Musical Wall, where the participants had the opportunity to practice and refine their new skills. Then finally, I offered challenge by choice to the class where they could explore the climbing wall as they wished, while I floated around checking correct technique and allowed the rest of the group to also offer feedback to their own peers within our cooperative learning group.
Parkour was my expertise subject that I invited my community learning group to learn and participate in. I started off with teaching basic rolling safety techniques such as hands out first, tucking head and chin to chest. Once the group learned how to safe roll on a fat mat, I would add small progression steps such as small obstacles to jump over and then safe roll. If participants in the group were quite comfortable, I would increase the obstacle's height or take away the fat mat, which was all completely challenge by choice if they thought they were able to attempt higher and if I thought they were able to demonstrate and give constructive feedback. Adding in other steps of parkour such as a simple wall jump which would change direction quickly by running into a wall and putting one foot up, pushing off and suddenly jumping over an obstacle and safe rolling out. Also adding one last step to our action-packed movie star adrenaline-filled parkour experience with a simple 2-handed jump in between and safe roll and wall plant. Everyone got to feel the experience of possible objects and some basic techniques of parkour, with the final challenge to run to the wall plant, then quickly turn and 2-handed plant and jump relatively high over an obstacle, then quickly adjust, dive over another obstacle and keep on running. The group would also be giving each other positive and constructive feedback to each other to help an effective cooperative group.
One of the advantages of learning through cooperative learning is that we're able to share ideas as a team and give each other constructive feedback to progress and improve our skills.
Social constructivism is very important in our class because it was more enjoyable than just listening to a teacher and lecturer. We were in a safe and friendly environment.
Trampolining was the expertise I taught to my group. The first point of call was to outline the safety features of a trampoline. The most important aspect we agreed on was that spotters are required to stand on every side of the trampoline when someone is on it. Ultimately, our goal was to work through various skills and progressions and learn how to do a backflip. After practicing some controlled and balanced bounces while performing tuck, pike and straddle positions, the next step was to practice this formation: back, knees, stomach, knees, feet. These progressions were good stepping stones for the students, as the next skill was to learn how to land on their back and flip over to their feet. A common problem with this is the students tended to flip over their shoulder and land towards the side of the trampoline. It was during this progression where the spotters were most important. Once having mastered this technique, the final challenge was to attempt a backflip. Having a guide on the trampoline with you, the students were required to jump, and on their count, the guide would push their legs around. This provided the students with confidence in attempting one alone.
My expertise I brought to my learning community was on a range of skills on the mini-tram. These were realistic progressions leading to success of a front somersault. I started by briefing the group on some safety points, and then went on to briefing the group on some of the cues that were necessary for their progressive steps. The cues for a forward roll were hands like a cocktail waitress and messes up. These cues were to ensure the learners in my group put out their hands in the correct positions to successfully practice these skills safely. The group then moved on to the jump tuck. This was to focus on us learners getting our knees upright to our chest so that we remember to tuck when flipping. After this, we moved on to the dive roll, which combined the last two focus points, and then we moved on to a spotting somersault. This is where we had two spotters with their hands on their hips, and the other person was jumping and putting their hands through the spotter's arms and rolling in the air with a forward momentum to do a front somersault. Finally, with all these progressions, the group were given the opportunity to then practice the front somersault using challenge by choice. The group helped us all learn through adding and contributing ideas from their prior knowledge of the skills and with descriptive feedback to help learn the skills in a social constructivist way.
The expertise that I brought to our group was the basics of tumbling, which included a forward roll, backwards roll, handstand, cartwheel, and finally the beginnings of a backflip. I started the lesson by pointing out all the safety aspects, which included head down on chest and flat hands with thumb tucked in when doing any kind of roll or flip. As a group, we then progressed through all the different stages of a forward and backwards roll, while I made sure to reinforce the safety rules. We provided each other with immediate feedback and practiced the skill set until we felt confident in ourselves to progress. I then got the group to work through the progressions of a handstand and cartwheel, both of which involved pair work. If anyone lacked confidence, we all provided the right amount of support and advice in order for that person to succeed, grow, and learn. This helped to create a positive learning environment and made the lesson thoroughly enjoyable. I decided not to progress through to the backflip as the group did not feel comfortable enough to do so, so instead we continued to practice the new skills we were just taught and continue to grow as a learning community.
A major weakness of socially constructivist learning is that the level you need to depend on others is really high. If someone doesn't come to class with content to share, they won't bring anything of value to the group's learning community.
I think it's incredibly important we use social constructivist learning approaches in schools as it gives students more control of their learning, allowing them to assist each other in finding greater levels of intelligence.